We had to go back 11 years to find pictures of the last hurricanes to hit our area. A lot has changed since then. What do you need to know about hurricanes? And what do you need to know to prepare for a hurricane? This is a News Channel 5 special, Surviving the Storm.
Hello and welcome everyone. It's the start of another hurricane season and we're here to help you get ready for any of the storms that could come our way this year. 2005 was the last year we were hit by a hurricane. That was Wilma, and this is the way it looked as it made landfall. Since then, we've gone through a record 10 straight years without a hurricane hitting Florida. But as the director of the National Hurricane Center told us, it's just a matter of time until we're hit by a storm again.
My goodness, how fortunate we have been in the state of Florida to not have one hurricane come ashore in over a decade. I don't know when it's going to happen, but the hurricanes are going to come back. And I fear at some time down the road in the not so distant future, folks are going to be asking me not where have all the hurricanes gone, but can you please make the hurricanes stop? Because Florida has a long, challenging hurricane history. We've just had a fortunate period the last decade.
We sure have. The last time we were hit by a hurricane, that was in 2005. A record-breaking 28 storms formed that year. This year is shaping up to be an average hurricane season. Storm Team 5 meteorologist James Wieland explains the factors that made last year a quiet one and the change that could make this year a little bit more active.
Last year we had a strong El Nino, which suppresses hurricane activity in the Atlantic by enhancing wind shear, preventing storms from developing. In fact, in the Caribbean, where the shear is the strongest, we only had one storm move in, Erica, and it ended up dying out near Hispaniola. This year, global forecast models are predicting not only for the El Nino to die out, but for a complete reversal into a La Nina by the middle of the hurricane season.
In a La Nina, the Pacific Ocean water near the equator is cooler than normal. This usually means a decrease in that wind shear, which in turn means an increase in the potential for tropical activity.
However, there are opposing signals at work this season. The North Atlantic water temperatures are a lot cooler than normal right now. And although hurricanes don't enter this region,
it alters wind and pressure patterns that tend to basically force sinking motion, drying motion in the tropical Atlantic, which really squelch the thunderstorm development, which are the building blocks for these hurricanes.
So that may cancel out a more active year that a La Nina would normally bring. Colorado State University notes that there's still plenty of uncertainty with the forecast because the La Nina hasn't even formed yet and the Atlantic water temperatures may change by the peak of the hurricane season. James Whelan, WPTV News Channel 5.
Anyone who went through the hurricanes Francis, Jean, and Wilma, I would be one, knows that the term blue roofs, those were the blue tarps used to cover the holes in the roofs caused by the hurricane winds. Today, some people are still dealing with those problems. Our consumer watchdog, Jen Strathman, explains what happened for one homeowner and why the case is not all that unusual.
It's always been our property.
The memories come back in a flash when Loretta Moses walks around her family home.
Those two storms were back to back. And it just took everything off the back and sat it over in that yard.
The roof came off.
Yes.
Loretta helped her mom hire a contractor and pay for the work.
It's been so many years now.
So much time has passed, her mom passed. Loretta now manages the property.
I thought it was taken care of. I didn't know it until last year.
When the city of West Palm Beach told Loretta the contractor's work never passed a final inspection.
When you heard the permit was still open, what'd you think?
I'm like, oh, for what? You know, what was done? When was it done? You know, if anything, are you sure you have the right address?
In the last 11 years, 15,000 permits expired in West Palm Beach. The city says that's about 8% of its permits.
It's a problem for the homeowner because that permit will sit in an expired status until the homeowner maybe tries to sell the property and then it shows up on a title search.
And the work may not be up to code, which means it may not be safe.
We don't have the resources to follow up.
West Palm Beach is looking at new software that will automatically warn homeowners and contractors when permits expire. But Palm Beach County already sends notices, and they say expired permits are still a problem. So now they're looking at disciplining the worst offenders. And both agencies are urging homeowners to take action.
Not paying the contractor until they pass a final inspection is probably the best leverage that a building owner has.
A decade after paying up, Loretta's contractor reopened the permit last year, but then let that one expire too.
It is not typical for us to do 12 inspections for a roofing permit. There is something definitely wrong there with the contractor's work.
Leaving Loretta worried she'll have to foot the bill again.
What's that going to do to you?
Wipe me out. You know how much a roof costs? Thank God it's just been on a wing on a prayer for all the time we have not had a hurricane.
I'm consumer watchdog Jen Strathman fighting for you.
When I'm out talking about preparing for hurricane season, people often ask what kind of supplies they need and how long those supplies need to last. So I put those questions to Mary Blakeney. She's with Palm Beach County Emergency Management and an expert in the field.
Every single resident should have a disaster supply kit. A disaster supply kit should last your family 5 to 7 days. One of the main essential items is water. You want to get 1 gallon per person per day for 5 to 7 days. So basically 5 to 7 gallons per person in your household.
Okay.
You also want to look at maybe some evaporated or canned milk. You want to focus on high protein, high energy items that are shelf ready, shelf stable things.
So I can just open this up and it's ready to go.
You don't even need to heat it if you don't need to. So soups, canned meats are really good items. Maybe some of those already prepared items in a can are good. Some vegetables and fruit are good to have on hand. Keep your diet as normal as possible. You want to focus on having maybe a loaf of bread. You can throw that in the freezer now, pull it out when the disaster strikes, and have it ready then. Peanut butter, great thing with some crackers, maybe some granola bars or some type of nutrition bar. And then you want to have your paper products that you don't have to worry about doing dishes in a disaster. You can just throw the items away, extra toilet paper supplies. And then finally, the most important thing, you want to have some type of comfort food, candy, cookies, something like that to relieve the stress during the disaster.
Good advice. Thanks, Mary. And of course, if you don't use it, we don't get a hurricane or a storm, you're going to use all that food down the road anyway. You can get more information on what you need by going to our webpage, WPTV.com, clicking on the weather section, and then the Hurricane Survival Guide. Coming up next, there's a way to save money when it comes to hurricanes. What are the improvements you can make now that will make your home more secure and save you money in the long run?
Surviving the Storm is sponsored by Florida Power and Light.
Welcome back. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Storm Shield. With all the social media tools today, it's easier than ever to keep track of weather conditions. Storm Team 5 meteorologist Felicia Combs has some suggestions so you can find out if a storm is moving toward your neighborhood.
Your Storm Team 5 has a number of resources available to keep you safe during hurricane season. All the latest information about any storm, plus checklists to prepare your home and property, will be in the free WPTV app.
Another really great resource that you can keep with you at all times on your smartphone or on your iPad is our Storm Shield app. Now, this app can be purchased for less than $3 in your app center, and it has a lot of valuable information. Satellite and radar loop, as you can see here. And then also you can go in and select what you want to be warned about. So we have severe thunderstorm warnings and also hurricane and tropical storms. So this is invaluable during hurricane season. Also, you'll notice this little blue dot here. This app will pinpoint exactly where you are. So it will let you know exactly when there's severe weather for your particular area, so you know when you need to take cover.
Don't have a smartphone? That's not a problem either. You can sign up for the Storm Shield phone call alerts. This alert system will call your landline whenever a tornado or severe thunderstorm warning is near the address that you provide.
Another really valuable resource that we have is right on WPTV.com under the weather section, the Hurricane Survival Guide. You can go right there and type in your home address, And when you search, it's going to bring up whether you're in a storm surge zone, an evacuation zone, and which one. And it's also going to tell you all of the nearby shelters so you can find places to be safe during hurricane season.
As always, Storm Team 5 will keep you up to date on social media platforms as well, tweeting and Facebooking 24/7 during a storm. You can follow the Storm Team 5 meteorologists on Twitter and Facebook for frequent updates during storm season. Felicia Combs, WPTV News Channel 5.
When a hurricane is approaching, homeowners often check their insurance to see what's covered. But there are steps you can take now to make your home more secure and save you some money at the same time. Our consumer watchdog, Jen Strathman, has the details.
I liked it because it's on the golf course. It's got a beautiful view out the back, lots of space.
But David Boston got hit hard when he tried to insure his new home.
So I was quoted $4,000 a year.
What'd you think of that?
I thought it was pretty high. Wasn't happy about it.
As a realtor, David knew his roof was to blame for those sky-high rates.
It wasn't secure. This home was built in 1961.
Built before some of Florida's most destructive hurricanes. So David hired a company to update his home.
Go ahead and put one there.
Extra nails or screws are added to each hurricane strap.
How much stronger will this roof be?
Well, about twice as strong as what it was before.
The average job is $1,200 to $1,800. Money experts say you typically make back in 1 year. Then the real savings begin.
My insurance has gone from $4,000 down to about $1,900 a year.
The insurance company's sure not going to tell you, because they want that money. They've been charging these fantastic rates, or ridiculous rates.
If your home was built before the updated building code in 2002, insurance agent Lee Wigglesworth says there may be work you can do to reduce your insurance rates.
The policy has to tell you what percentage of a credit you're getting.
Insurance companies give credits for your roof attachment, garage door, and shutters if they meet the updated wind standards.
It's a sticker. The products, the garage doors, the shutters, the impact windows, they all have to have documentation that it meets what code it meets.
Bringing your home up to code takes about a day.
By doing what we're doing, the roofs will not come off, therefore saving all the stuff inside the house.
Like years of memories.
She's got a cute little chubby face there.
You would lose if a hurricane washed through your home. I'm consumer watchdog Jen Strathman, fighting for you.
Coming up next, some of the new innovations that can help you get through a storm. And a look back at one of the most famous hurricane experts and the changes he made to improve the forecasts. Welcome back. When hurricanes hit, they can cause a major disruption in our lives, and that can go on for days and even weeks after it passes. To make life a little easier, some have come up with different ways to get us through those rough times. Storm Team 5 meteorologist James Whelan caught up with a couple of them to see what kind of innovations they have to offer.
We're pretty much guaranteed some power outages and cell phone disruptions when a hurricane hits. This year at the Governor's Hurricane Conference, there were many ways to overcome those disruptions.
If you're in a hurricane situation and landlines and cell phones go down because of power outages, this is the only thing that you'll be able to talk to friends and family in state or out of state.
Affordable and portable, this satellite phone folds up to pocket size and can be used anywhere in the world. But if you just can't live with your smartphone,
take this phone, plug it into this device right here, and it creates a wireless hotspot. So now you have this plugged into this, and you could use your smartphone to text, email friends and family.
Both devices together cost about the same as an iPhone. Now, when you need to get a whole group of people back online, the portable pod runner is a new way to get it done.
So this is a unique platform in that it can attach to the back of any truck or van or SUV, self-contained in terms of its ability to communicate either by radio or via satellite and restore internet connection, cellular connections, as well as land mobile radio connection.
Of course, with communications comes power issues. The power goes out after a hurricane, you can't charge anything, you can't power anything. These new solar panels, very thin, very lightweight. This setup here enough to power your refrigerator, some lights, and charge your cell phones. The power may be endless and free, but it's at a cost, priced between 10 and 12 grand. James Whelan, WPTV News Channel 5.
Always some great gadgets. Every year before hurricane season starts, we get the hurricane seasonal forecast. Those forecasts were the idea of Bill Gray, a meteorologist who made significant changes in the way we look at hurricanes. Storm Team 5 meteorologist Glenn Glazer takes a look back at the impact he had on hurricane forecasting.
Well, we're seeing about an average season now.
He was always incredibly enthusiastic about hurricanes. He loved talking about them. He loved teaching others about hurricanes, what makes them form.
That's Dr. Philip Klotzbach talking about his friend and mentor, Dr. William Gray, or Bill, as he preferred to be called. Dr. Gray passed away in April at the age of 86. And although he slowed down a little bit, he never really stopped working.
We put out a seasonal forecast in April, and he was giving me input on that forecast just a few days before he died.
Dr. Gray became very interested in weather while in the Air Force as a young man, and so was born a 60-year career in the study of tropical cyclones, about 50 of those years spent as a professor at Colorado State University and as the head of the Tropical Meteorology Project. Many of us had the honor and pleasure of sitting down and talking to him whenever he would come down to Florida.
He loved Florida. I mean, he always, Dr. Gray's like, to study the tropics, he always said you got to be in the tropics, and while he lived in Colorado his whole life, or most of his life, he always loved Florida.
Dr. Gray began putting out seasonal forecasts in 1984. It was the first of its kind. He then built on that research to help shape much of what we now use to forecast.
He's the one who discovered that relationship that when you had El Nino, you have fewer hurricanes in the Atlantic.
Let me go on and show you.
Dr. Gray's death is a significant loss for the world of meteorology. His legacy is a wealth of information on how storms form in the tropics and how that activity is shaped on a global scale, not to mention mentoring dozens of master's and doctoral students.
He always wanted to do more. I mean, I went and visited him a few days before he died, and he was like, oh, I need 5 more years. You know, I got all this stuff that I still want to do. So yeah, he was still very active in trying to do additional research.
On a personal note, I did have the chance to sit down with Dr. Gray many times over the past 10 to 15 years, and I can tell you he was such a smart man, such a straight shooter, and he was a really kind man, and he always made time to talk to you and teach you. Even if his schedule was really restricted, he would make time for you, and he will be really, really missed. Glenn Glazer, WPTV, News Channel 5.
Well said. Coming up next, the latest improvements in hurricane forecasting. Plus, hurricanes can tear through your yard. What you can do now to reduce the damage.
Hey.
Welcome back. Many changes have been made in hurricane forecasting since the last storm hit our area more than a decade ago. Storm Team 5 meteorologist Tyler Malden takes a look at how the forecasts have improved since then.
The year 2005. The most active Atlantic hurricane season on record. A jaw-dropping 28 named storms formed that year, 15 of which became hurricanes, also a record. One of these systems will forever be etched in the minds of South Floridians, Hurricane Wilma. Wilma and its 100-mile-per-hour winds was the last to make landfall in the state. Big advancements in forecasting have occurred in the 11 years since. Money poured into research to improve forecasts. Some of it went to the Hurricane Forecast Improvement Project, also known as HFIP, which helped to upgrade the forecast zone.
Hurricane forecast tracks are 40% more accurate, leading to smaller, more confident cones. If the infamous Hurricane Katrina made landfall today, its cone would be much smaller.
Knowing the strength when it arrives is imperative. Though improvements in intensity forecasts were slow at first, it's gotten dramatically better in recent years. We've made huge strides. But the HFIP team of researchers has an ambitious goal you'll benefit even more from: to reduce forecast errors by 50% by the year 2020. They're well on their way, but no matter how precise the forecasts are, one problem will remain: how to effectively communicate the threats of each tropical system. Hurricane specialist Michael Lowry explains that every hurricane is different and more than just a point on a map.
The impacts can extend outside of the cone. Get away from the category, if only a category 1 or 2 or 3.
The Saffir-Simpson wind scale tells you only how strong the max wind will be. Hurricanes are complex systems that bring a multitude of threats: wind, rain, flooding, tornadoes, and the deadliest of all, storm surge. So this hurricane season, remain vigilant and weather aware, even when you're on the outer fringe of our increasingly shrinking forecast cone. For WPTV News Channel 5, I'm meteorologist Tyler Malden.
You have probably seen the pictures of the aftermath of a hurricane, trees knocked down, and in some cases it's hard to tell what yards looked like before the storm. I talked with Mary Blakeney from Palm Beach County Emergency Management on what you can do now to reduce the damage.
Well, you want to make sure you prepare your yard now. If you have items, like for example here, this was a tree, a dead tree that was ready to come down, and in one of our afternoon storms it came down. You want to make sure you take care of these things now, not when a storm is approaching, because if you're cutting this up and putting this by the side of the road, those will just become projectiles for you and your neighbors.
Another thing to point out is that this fell toward your house, but it wasn't big enough to actually do any kind of damage to your house. And we're always trying to tell people, you know, try to keep your big trees away from the house as much as you can.
Correct. Try to cut down as much as you can around your house.
Yeah.
Another item, if you have items in your yard, trampolines, patio furniture, anything like that, you want to make sure you secure those. We had a lot of debris in 04 and 05 from tumbling trampolines. You always hear a story of trampolines ending up throughout. Absolutely. So you want to focus on those things now, take those apart should you need to, and any other item that may be laying in your yard you want to secure. A boat, anchor that down. If you have boats in your yard, try to anchor those items down so they don't go flying in the storm.
Okay, great advice. Thanks, Mary. For more information on what you need to get through a storm, go to our webpage, WPTV.com, and click on the weather section. This year, I was honored to receive an award at the Governor's Hurricane Conference. It was for my work in forecasting storms and helping people get ready for the hurricanes. While I received the award, it's part of a big team effort here at WPTV that includes all of my colleagues and the work of all the county emergency management centers in our entire viewing area, large area here. Once again, this year we'll be working together to help you prepare for any storms that head this way. We'll be telling you about the storms from the time they form, the path they take, and the power they generate. We'll be here to help you through the entire hurricane season. For all of us at News Channel 5, thank you, and let's hope for another quiet hurricane season.